Times ran a front-page story with headlines and a photo of the kirtan. Title: Ancient Trance Dance Features Swami's Visit to Stanford. Hold on there a minute, all you with it people. There's a new dance about to sweep the country. It's called the Swami. It's going to replace the Frug, Watusi, swim, and even the good old barn stomp. Why? Because you can do it. Because you can do any old step to it, and at the same time find real happiness. You can rid yourself of the illusion that you and your body are inseparable. The chant started quietly, but gained volume as more people joined in. After half an hour, a long-haired youth with 3 strings of red beads around his neck stood up and began to dance to the music. He closed his eyes in ecstasy and held his hands, palms up, shoulder high. 2 girls soon followed him. One had a string of bells around her neck. A bearded fellow with a fluorescent pink skull cap joined in, still beating on his tambourine. The Swami cut in a microphone in front of him, and the added volume provoked others to chant and stomp more loudly. A pretty girl in a sari danced as if in a hypnotic trance. A short, dark man, neatly dressed in suit and tie, threw off his shoes and joined in. A young maths professor did likewise. A pretty blonde 3-year-old girl rocked and swayed in one corner. Suddenly, most of the audience was dancing and chanting. The pace grew faster and faster. Faces streamed with sweat. The temperature soared. And then it all stopped. Srila Prabhupada was pleased with the article and asked for some photocopies of it. What are they calling the dance? He laughed. The Swami. Across the top of the kirtan photo, he typed, everyone joins in complete ecstasy when Swami Bhaktivedanta chants his hypnotic Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So today we are reading from Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 30, text number 33. Yavate mayaya sprishta brahmana iha karma bihi tavat bhavat prasanganam sangasyana bhave bhave. Yavate mayaya sprishta brahmama iha karma bihi tavat bhavat prasanganam sangasyana bhave bhave. Yavate mayaya sprishta pramama iha karma bihi tavat bhavat prasanganam sangasyana bhave bhave. Word for word, yavat, as long as, te, your, mayaya, by the illusory energy, sprishta, contaminated, brahmama, we wonder, iha, in this material world, karmabhi, by the reaction of fruitive activities, tavat, so long, bhavat prasanganam, of your loving devotees, sangha, association, syat, let there be, na, are, bhave, bhave, in every species of life. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, C.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. Dear Lord, as long as we have to remain within this material world due to our material contamination and wander from one type of body to another and from one planet to another, we pray that we may associate with those who are engaged in discussing your pastimes. We pray for this benediction life after life in different bodily forms and on different planets. Srila Prabhupada's purport. This is the best benediction that a devotee can ask of the Supreme Lord. This is also confirmed by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sthane stita shrutigatam tanuvan manobhi. It's from Srimad Bhagavatam 10.14.3. One may be in one position or another, according to destiny. But in any case, one must continue to hear about the activities and pastimes of the Supreme Lord, regardless of circumstances. A pure devotee does not pray for liberation or for cessation of the cycle of birth and death, because he does not consider that important. The most important thing for a devotee is getting a chance to hear about the pastimes and glories of the Lord. The devotees who engage in the service of the Lord in this world will have the same opportunity in the spiritual world also. Thus, for a devotee, everything is in the spiritual world. For as long as he can hear about the pastimes of the Lord, or wherever he can chant, the Lord is personally present. Tatra tishtami narada yatra gayanti mad bhakta. When the pure devotees assemble to chant, hear, and talk about the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the place where they assemble becomes Vaikuntha. For the devotee, there is no need to pray to the Lord for transferal to the Vaikuntha planet, to the Vaikuntha world. A pure devotee can create Vaikuntha or Vrindavan anywhere simply by chanting the glories of the Lord without offense. The Prachetas pray for an opportunity to hear of the glories of the Lord in every form of life, bhave, bhave. A living entity transmigrates from one body to another. The devotee is not particularly eager to stop this process. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu prays, Mama jamani jamanishvare bhavatad bhaktirahituki tvayi. My dear Lord, life after life, may I be fixed in your pure devotional service. Out of humility, a devotee considers himself unfit to be transferred to the spiritual world. He always thinks himself contaminated by the modes of material nature, nor is there any need for a devotee to ask to be freed from the modes of material nature. Devotional service itself is in the transcendental position. Therefore, there is no question of asking for this special facility. The conclusion is that a pure devotee, is not anxious to stop the repetition of birth and death, but is always eager to associate with other devotees who are engaged in chanting and hearing about the glories of the Lord. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Om Jnana-timirandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Mukham Kurochi Vachalam Pangun Laigate Garim Yakripa Tamaham Bande Shri Gurun Dinataranam Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitai, have a glass of water, please. Narayanas parasarve na kutastana bibiti. Svagapavaga narakesh vapu tulyasha darshanaha. So this well-known verse was spoken by Lord Shiva to his wife Parvati in the 6th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. He says that devotees who are engaged in service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead are never fearful in any condition of life. To them, the heavenly planets, liberation, and the hellish planets are all the same. So, thank you. So previously to this verse being spoken, Maharaj Chitraketu, he had darshan of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, his Ishtadev, Sankarshan. And Lord Vishnu had personally given him a special aircraft in which he could travel all over the universe. Not only that, he had given him the benediction that he would have full sensory and bodily strength to enjoy. And it's described how he had been traveling, enjoying in this airplane for millions of years. And in the course of his travels, he just happened to fly over an area where Lord Shiva was sitting in an assembly of great saints and sages. But it was a somewhat unusual sight because Lord Shiva had his wife Parvati sitting on his lap and he was embracing her. And Chitraketu was more than anything somewhat astonished at this sight. And rightly so. There's Lord Shiva, who is the spiritual master of the great saints and sages. He is Mahadev, the greatest amongst the demigods. He is Vaishnavanam Yatashampur, the best of the Vaishnavas. He is one of the Mahajans who teaches by his example the principles of religion. And yet he was, as Chitraketu Maharaj put it, behaving like an ordinary mortal, an ordinary human being, by embracing his wife, not only in public, but in an assembly of great saints and sages. So this is a somewhat unusual sight. And Maharaj Chitraketu, he didn't hesitate to voice his astonishment. And he started criticizing Lord Shiva. Just explaining what I just said, how, Lord Shiva is the greatest amongst the demigods, the spiritual master, of the entire universe. And here he is behaving like an ordinary mortal, an ordinary man, embracing his wife in public. Actually, according to proper etiquette, that a husband is, as of course, can embrace his wife, but it must be in seclusion, in his own home, but not in public. No civilized human being would embrace their wife in public. So Chitraketu started voicing his astonishment, and he did so within earshot of Parvati. So Lord Shiva and Parvati could both hear what Chitraketu was speaking. And Lord Shiva, he knew that Chitraketu was a great devotee, a great Vaishnava, and he knew that it was just out of astonishment that Chitraketu had spoken these words. But Parvati, on the other hand, she manifested some, shall we say, feminine pride, she could not tolerate the criticism of Chitraketu. Therefore, without hesitation, she cursed Chitraketu. She said, "Has this upstart now received the post from which to punish a shameless person like us? Has he been appointed ruler, carrier of the rod of punishment? Is he now the only master of everything? Alas, Lord Brahma, who has taken his birth from the lotus flower, does not know the principles of religion, nor does the great saints like Brigu and Narada, nor the four Kumaras, headed by Sanat Kumar, Manu, and Kapila, have also forgotten the religious principles. I suppose it to be because of this that they have not tried to stop Lord Shiva from behaving improperly. This Chitraketu is the lowest of Kshatriyas, for he has impudently overridden Brahma and the other demigods by insulting Lord Shiva, upon whose lotus feet they always meditate. Lord Shiva has personified religion and the spiritual master of the entire world, and therefore Chitraketu must be punished. This person is puffed up because of his achievements, thinking, I am the best. He does not deserve to approach the shelter of Lord Vishnu's lotus feet, which are worshipped by all saintly persons, for he is impudent, thinking himself greatly important. O impudent one, my dear son, now take birth in a low, sinful family of demons, so that you will not commit such an offense again towards exalted saintly persons in this world. So this curse by Mother Parvati, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur points out that it was actually the arrangement of the Supreme Lord. That, as I mentioned, Chitraketu Maharaj had been traveling around in his airplane for millions of years, and Krishna thought, I want my devotee back to the spiritual world. So Krishna made this arrangement that his devotee, namely Chitraketu, would take birth as Vritrasura and then go back to Vaikuntha. So this was a divine arrangement of the Supreme Lord. So when Parvati, when she cursed Chitraketu, what was Chitraketu's response? He could have thought, you've given me this harsh punishment for a seemingly insignificant offense. He could have rebelled against being offended like this, but no. Chitraketu, he humbly got down from his airplane, bowed at Parvati's lotus feet, and smiled, and thanked her for the curse. The Acharyas point out that actually, because of Chitraketu's situation, that he had become proud, and therefore he thought he had the privilege, or he was in the position to point out openly, point out the criticism, the faults, the so-called faults of Lord Shiva. And as the saying goes, pride comes before a fall. And Chitraketu Maharaj certainly fell from his position and took birth in a demoniac family as Vritrasura. So after Parvati had cursed Chitraketu, Shiva, Lord Shiva, he indirectly hinted to Parvati, you probably shouldn't have done that. That was a bit of a harsh thing to do to a devotee of the Supreme Lord. So actually, Chitraketu, by his humility and his humble behavior to Parvati, in this way, he actually defeated her. The soft, gentle behavior of a devotee is very heartwarming. And this exhibition of humility by Chitraketu Maharaj, it softened the hearts of Lord Shiva and Parvati when they saw this. And Lord Shiva started glorifying the Vaishnavas. And this verse that I just quoted, Narayana Parasarve Nakachastana Bibhati, Lord Shiva recites this verse in glorification of the Vaishnavas. That the Vaishnavas do not care if they are in a heavenly condition of life, a hellish condition of life, or even if they are liberated, in a liberated condition. Because wherever they are, they just want to engage in devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Parasevanam. 9 processes of devotional service in the association of devotees. Actually, there are some devotees who actually pray to be in a hellish condition of life, right? Queen Kunti, she prays, Vipata santuta shashvat tatra tatra jagat guru bhavato darshanam yat apuna bhava darshanam. I wish that all those calamities would happen again and again, so that we could see you again and again. For by seeing you means that we will no longer see repeated births and deaths. So yes, devotees sometimes pray to be put in a hellish condition of life because it is it is much easier to remember Krishna in difficulty when one is put into difficulty. But actually, in this day and age, it is not necessary for devotees to pray like that. Because actually, we are living in a hellish condition of life. Kali Yuga is a hellish condition. The water we drink is contaminated, the food we eat is contaminated, the music that is available, is so contaminating. Everything's just saturated with lust, anger, greed, envy, illusion, and madness. There's just no sanity in the world today. And this, for the devotee, is painful. It's a hellish condition of life. Especially for those on the front lines which have to go out every day and deal, with these hellish personalities, have no good qualities. So yes, devotees don't have to pray to be situated in a hellish condition of life to remember Krishna. Although when devotees are put into an exceptionally painful condition, it is actually beneficial for the devotee because it is easier to remember Krishna. I was meditating on the devotees in Ukraine, what the situation that they have been put in. There was one story of the devotees. They went to the devotees in Ukraine. They went to a particular place to distribute prasadam to help the local citizens. And when they reached the place, they realized that they had forgotten to bring Srila Prabhupada's books with them to distribute. So they went back to the temple to collect the books. And by the time they got back to the same place where they were to distribute prasadam, a bomb had landed and blown up the area. So if Krishna hadn't have made that arrangement that they had forgotten the books, then God knows what would have happened. It would have been a horrible situation. So Krishna, he protects his devotees no matter what. So when the devotee is one who always remembers Krishna in any circumstances. And to do that, we need the association of devotees. We don't realize how important devotee sangha is until we've been around some years. That actually we should always pray to be in the association of devotees, because then we have devotional service beginning with Shravanam Kirtanam. Devotees always talking about the glories of the Supreme Lord, the glories of devotional service. And in this way, the devotee is always absorbed in Krishna. And therefore, the externals do not bother a devotee so much. So yes, this is a very instructive pastime with Chitraketu Maharaj and Lord Shiva. That no matter how advanced a devotee is, one should never criticize or openly criticize devotees. I mean, it's this critical mentality is very a great hindrance to one's spiritual life. Although we understand from this pastime that it's an arrangement by Krishna himself to speed up the process of Chitraketu Maharaj going back to the spiritual world. Okay, so I'll stop there and ask if there's any questions or comments.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam. Thank you very much for explaining the text so nicely.
Hold on a second. Give me a sec.
Hare Krishna.
Is anyone speaking? I can't hear anything. There's no audio coming through on the computer.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, can you hear me?
Okay, yes, Srivastavaram Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
You're talking about how Kali Yuga is a hellish condition.
Yes.
And everything is contaminated, and a devotee should be fearful of the contamination. Do you have any prayers, any notable prayers that you can learn to develop that fear of material contamination, material association?
Any prayers to the Lord to help us remain free from material contamination?
To develop that fear. I know Prahlad speaks about it in Siddha Canto that he only fears material association. Any prayers along that line that we can practice?
Well, today's verse is a prayer, right? Well, it's a prayer to Dear Lord, as long as we have to remain within the material world due to our material contamination and wander from one type of body to another and from one planet to another, we pray that we may associate with those who are engaged in discussing your pastimes. Well, this isn't a prayer specifically to try to get free, remain free from contamination, but when one is in the association of devotees, one is in a purified atmosphere, then for one, one will remain in a purified condition. But yes, it is a healthy fear to have. To want to remain free from the negative influences of Kali Yuga, of the material world. Yes, I can't think of any specific prayers. If I think of some, I'll let you know. Yes.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Dandavat Pranam. Can you hear that?
Yes, Prabhu, you can continue. Tushya Chaitanya Prabhu, please, because I think we can hear, but there is some problem of receptivity from his side.
Okay. Once again, thank you, Prabhuji, for explaining the text so nicely. The importance of this, how the association is so important for all the devotees of Lord Krishna. So Srila Prabhupada often...
Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Jai Jai Nitai Gaur Premanande.
Okay. Vancha kalpatarubhasya kripa sindhu
Sindhu vai vacha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavyo namo namah. Ananta Koti Vaishnava ki jai. Iske Stambha Bhava Prabhu ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur Premanande. All glories to the assembled devotee. All glories, all glories.